South Africa has no shortage of glitz and glamour, but behind the scenes, some of our biggest stars have been caught in shocking scandals. These are the faces we see on our screens, the voices we hear on the radio, the personalities we think we know. They live in lavish homes, drive fancy cars, and walk the red carpets, embodying the dreams that many of us hold. But what happens when the very people we look up to are caught with their hands in the cookie jar? What happens when the spotlight they crave so desperately also illuminates a web of deceit, greed, and corruption that shatters their public image and betrays the trust of their fans? The stories we're about to uncover are more than just celebrity gossip. They are tales of power abused, of public funds misappropriated, and of justice sought. From beloved musicians to revered actors and influential media moguls, no one is immune to the allure of a quick buck, even if it means breaking the law and their fans' hearts. These scandals have rocked the nation, sparking outrage and intense debate. They peel back the veneer of celebrity perfection to reveal a much darker, more complicated reality. We're going to dive deep into the allegations, the investigations, and the fallout that followed. These aren't just headlines, these are intricate stories of betrayal that have had real-world consequences, affecting not just the celebrities themselves, but the very fabric of our society. So, grab your popcorn, because it's about to get messy. Today, we're counting down the top 10 corrupt celebrities in South Africa who have been exposed. Kicking off our list at number 10 is a man once hailed as the king of Kwaito, Arthur Mafokate. For years, his music was the soundtrack to a new, vibrant, and hopeful South Africa. He was a cultural icon, a pioneer who brought a unique sound to the world stage. His influence was immense, not just in music, but as a symbol of black success and entrepreneurship in the post-apartheid era. He built an empire, and with it came a certain level of trust and respect from the public and the government alike. People saw him as more than just an artist. He was a leader, a mentor, and a businessman shaping the cultural landscape. But that carefully constructed image began to crumble under the weight of serious allegations. The scandal revolves around the National Lotteries Commission, an institution meant to fund good causes and uplift communities. Instead, it became a personal piggy bank for the well-connected. Mafokate, through his various nonprofit organizations, allegedly received millions in grants. We're not talking about a small donation for a community project here. We're talking about staggering sums of money, reportedly over 56 million rand, that were meant for arts and culture development, for the youth, for the very people Arthur claimed to champion. Investigators started pulling at the threads, and the whole tapestry of deception began to unravel. It's alleged that the funds, intended for projects like the South African Arts and Development Association, were diverted. Instead of funding cultural heritage programs or empowering young artists, the money was allegedly used to purchase luxury guest houses and properties. The Special Investigating Unit painted a damning picture of a system where non-profits were used as fronts to siphon public money for personal enrichment. The man who built his career on representing the streets was now accused of stealing from them. The fallout was immediate and severe. The SIU moved to freeze his assets, including a luxury property in Midrand, effectively putting a chokehold on his empire. The court battles began, and the headlines were relentless. The king of Kwaito was now the face of lottery corruption. It was a shocking fall from grace. The public, who had once danced to his beats, was now left questioning his legacy. Was the entire persona a charade? Was the champion of the people actually just looking out for himself? The case is a textbook example of how influence can be twisted for personal gain. It's one thing to be a successful artist, but it's another thing entirely to be accused of manipulating a system designed to help the disadvantaged. The allegations against Arthur Mafokate serve as a stark reminder that the beat of a drum can sometimes drown out the sound of a hand in the till. His story is a tragic symphony of talent and alleged greed, and it's a tune that South Africa is still trying to get out of its head. At number 9, we have a story that reads like a script from a soap opera, which is fitting because it involves one of South Africa's most iconic soapy stars, Sophie Ndaba. For over 2 decades she was Queen Moroka on Generations, a character beloved by millions. She was the sassy, glamorous wedding planner who brought drama and flair to our screens every weeknight. Sophie Ndaba wasn't just an actress, she was a national treasure, a household name whose on-screen persona blurred with her public one. She became synonymous with elegance, success, and, ironically, the fantasy of the perfect wedding. but life imitated art in the most scandalous way. The drama jumped from the screen into the courtroom during the high-profile state capture inquiry, specifically focusing on the infamous Gupta family. It was revealed that Sophie Ndaba was a key witness for the prosecution in a case against a former top government official accused of receiving bribes from the Guptas. The official, it was alleged, had his lavish wedding partly funded by the controversial family as a kickback. And who was the wedding planner at the center of it all? None other than Sophie Ndaba herself. Initially, Ndaba was seen as a brave whistleblower, a celebrity using her platform to expose corruption. She provided testimony detailing how payments for the wedding were allegedly structured to hide their true source. She was the star witness, the one who could connect the dots between the corrupt official and the Gupta enterprise. Her testimony was crucial, painting a vivid picture of the brazenness of state capture, where even a union of love could be tainted by dirty money. It seemed like a moment of civic duty from a beloved public figure. However, the plot thickened. As the trial progressed, Ndaba's story began to show cracks. She was accused of changing her testimony, of contradicting her initial statements to the authorities. The defense attorneys went on the attack, painting her not as a courageous witness, but as an unreliable one, someone whose memory was conveniently selective. They questioned her motives, her credibility, and her role in the entire affair. Suddenly, the hero of the story was being portrayed as a potential accomplice, or at the very least, a deeply flawed narrator. The situation became a legal and public relations nightmare. The woman who played a character planning fictional weddings was now embroiled in a real-life scandal where a wedding was a central piece of evidence in a massive corruption trial. The public was left confused. Was she a hero who got intimidated, or was she part of the deception from the beginning? Her credibility was shattered, and the case she was meant to strengthen was thrown into turmoil. It's a cautionary tale about how even with the best intentions, the world of high-stakes corruption can swallow you whole, turning a star witness into just another character in a tragedy. Coming in at number 8 is a name that represents South African excellence on the global stage, Terry Fido. She shot to international fame with her role in the Oscar-winning film Tsotsi. She was the face of a new wave of South African talent, a symbol of hope and artistic integrity. She became a brand ambassador, a L'Oreal model, and a respected producer. Terry Fido wasn't just an actress, she was an inspiration, proof that a girl from the township could conquer Hollywood and the world. Her journey was a source of national pride. This makes her inclusion on this list all the more shocking and heartbreaking. The scandal that ensnared her is, once again, linked to the rot within the National Lotteries Commission. The SIU, in its sprawling investigation into the looting of lottery funds, uncovered a scheme that led them directly to Terry Fido's doorstep. It wasn't about a small, mismanaged grant. The allegations were that millions of rands, earmarked for cultural development and other good causes, were funneled through a non-profit and used to build a luxury home. The details are damning. The SIU alleged that Fido used money from a dodgy NLC grant to construct a 3-story mansion in Bryanston, one of Johannesburg's most affluent suburbs. The property, which she was reportedly in the process of building, was valued in the millions. The money trail, according to investigators, showed a clear diversion of funds. Money that should have been used to build arts infrastructure or support struggling artists was allegedly being used to build a palace for a star who, by all accounts, was already incredibly successful. The legal hammer came down swiftly. In late 2022, the special tribunal granted the SIU a preservation order, effectively freezing the multi-million rand property along with other assets belonging to Fido and others implicated in the scheme. Fido denied any wrongdoing, claiming she was a victim of a scam herself and had no knowledge of the illicit source of the funds. She portrayed herself as an unwitting participant, someone who was also duped by the real masterminds. But for the public, the damage was done. The story of Terry Fido is a tragedy of association. Whether she was a willing participant or a naive victim, her name is now permanently linked to one of the biggest corruption scandals in recent South African history. The Oscar-winning actress, the international model, the national treasure, was now facing headlines about frozen assets and lottery fraud. It's a devastating blow to a celebrated career and a stark lesson that in the fight against corruption, even the brightest stars can have their light dimmed by the shadows of suspicion. At number 7 we have the undisputed queen of South African media, Bonang Matheba, mogul, presenter, reality TV star and businesswoman. She is, honestly, the definition of a powerhouse. With her signature phrase, "Champagne darling," she cultivated an image of unattainable luxury and flawless success. For years, everything she touched turned to gold, from her TV shows to her MCC brand, House of BNG. She is not just a celebrity, she is a brand, an institution, and for many of her fans, affectionately known as the B-Force, she can do no wrong. But in 2018, the South African Revenue Service, or SARS, came knocking, and the flawless facade began to crack. Queen Bee found herself in the middle of a very public and very messy tax evasion scandal. It wasn't a simple mistake or a late filing. The state accused her of failing to pay personal taxes from 2008 to 2017 and company taxes from 2014 to 2017. The amounts were substantial, running into the millions. The taxman was coming for the queen, and they were not playing around. The case dragged Bonang from the cover of glossy magazines to the harsh reality of the Johannesburg Specialized Commercial Crimes Court. The headlines were brutal. The woman who preached a gospel of black excellence and female empowerment was now facing criminal charges for allegedly trying to shortchange the country. It was honestly a massive blow to her brand. The image of aspirational wealth she had so carefully curated was now tainted with allegations of financial dishonesty. It raised uncomfortable questions. Was all that Glitz built on a foundation of dodging responsibilities? Her team initially tried to downplay the situation, but the legal proceedings were public. The B-Force rallied behind her, but the court of public opinion was divided. For every supporter, there was a critic pointing out the hypocrisy of flaunting immense wealth while allegedly not paying your fair share to a country with such high levels of poverty and inequality. It was, without a doubt, a PR nightmare. The case highlighted the fact that no matter how famous you are, SARS will eventually find you. It's the one bill you can't just put on ice. Ultimately, Bonang reached a settlement. She pleaded guilty to the charges and paid a hefty admission of guilt fine of 30,000 rand, in addition to settling her outstanding tax bill with SARS. While she avoided a criminal record, the stain on her reputation lingered. Her team framed it as an issue of bad financial advice rather than malicious intent, but the damage was done. The scandal served as a powerful reminder that behind the champagne and private jets, the taxman is always watching. For Queen Bee, it was a very public lesson in the one thing money can't always buy you out of accountability. Our number 6 entry blurs the line between celebrity and politician, but his story is pure, unadulterated scandal. We're talking about Tony Yengeni. In the 1990s, he was a charismatic and powerful figure in the ANC. As the party's chief whip in parliament, he was a rising star, a former anti-apartheid activist poised for greatness in the new South Africa. He was well-known, influential, and enjoyed the high life, often seen as a political celebrity who embodied the swagger of the new ruling elite. He was part of the system, a man at the heart of power. The scandal that would define his career is a classic tale of corruption, one that has become a symbol of the rot that began to set in during the early 2000s. It all stems from the infamous South African arms deal, a multi-billion rand military procurement project that was plagued by allegations of bribery and kickbacks from its inception. It was a deal that was supposed to modernize our military, but ended up becoming one of the biggest corruption sagas in the country's history. And Tony Yengeni was right in the middle of it. The allegation was simple and devastatingly clear. Yengeni had received a massive, nearly 50% discount on a luxury Mercedes-Benz 4x4. This wasn't a friendly deal from a local car salesman. The discount was allegedly a bribe, a sweetener from a company that was a bidder in the arms deal. The car, a metallic green Mercedes-Benz ML320, became the symbol of his downfall. He was accused of using his powerful position as chairman of Parliament's Joint Standing Committee on Defense to influence the deal in exchange for personal enrichment. The legal battle was long and arduous. Yengeni fought the charges tooth and nail, but the evidence was compelling. In 2003, he was convicted of fraud for failing to disclose the discount to Parliament. He was sentenced to 4 years in prison. It was a landmark moment. A powerful, high-ranking official was actually going to jail for corruption. He resigned from Parliament in disgrace. The party boy, the political celebrity, was now a convicted criminal. It was, honestly, a spectacular fall from the highest echelons of power. Despite the conviction, Yengeni's story didn't end there. He famously served only a few months of his 4-year sentence before being released on parole, a decision that sparked public outrage and accusations of political favoritism. His case became a poster child for the lack of accountability for the politically connected. Even after his release, he remained a controversial figure, unapologetic and defiant. The Tony Yengeni Benz entered the South African lexicon as shorthand for political corruption, a shiny, metallic reminder of how power can corrupt so absolutely. At number 5, we have a man who ruled the South African Broadcasting Corporation with an iron fist, a man whose reign was so bizarre and destructive it almost defies belief. Hlaudi Motsoeneng. He wasn't a singer or an actor, but he was one of the most powerful and infamous celebrities in the country. As the chief operating officer of the public broadcaster, he controlled what millions of South Africans saw and heard every single day. He was a media kingmaker, known for his eccentric pronouncements and unwavering self-belief. The first and most foundational scandal was the lie upon which his entire career was built. He faked his qualifications. In 2014, the Public Protector released a damning report, titled When Governance and Ethics Fail. It found that Motsoeneng had lied about having a Matric certificate to get his initial job at the SABC. He had risen to the very top of the public broadcaster on a fraudulent claim. In any normal world, this would be an instant firing offense. But this was Hlaudi's world, and the normal rules didn't apply. Instead of being fired, he was protected, promoted, and praised by his political allies. He became more powerful than ever. With this power, he began a reign of terror at the SABC. He implemented a 90% local music quota on SABC radio stations overnight, a move that, while sounding patriotic, was widely criticized for being poorly planned and financially devastating for the broadcaster. He banned the showing of violent protest footage, a decision seen as blatant censorship designed to protect the government of the day from public criticism. But the corruption didn't stop at censorship and lies. The Public Protector's report also found that Motsoeneng had irregularly increased his own salary 3 times in 1 year, from 1.5 million rand to 2.4 million rand. And then came the bonus. He was awarded a staggering 11.4 million rand success fee for a deal he brokered with MultiChoice, a deal that was later found to be unlawful and detrimental to the SABC. He was essentially paying himself millions from the public purse for a deal that sold out the SABC's archives. The courts eventually caught up with Hlaudi. Multiple rulings declared his appointment unlawful and irrational. The Special Investigating Unit went after him to pay back the money, including the unlawful bonus and other ill-gotten gains. His reign finally came to an end, but not before he had brought the public broadcaster to its knees, both financially and ethically. Hlaudi Motsoeneng's story is a terrifying case study in how one unqualified, power-hungry individual with the right political protection can capture a vital public institution and turn it into a personal fiefdom. Coming in at number 4 is a woman who didn't just embrace the label of gold digger, she turned it into a celebrity brand. Kanye Mbao. Long before the influencers of today, Kanye was the original queen of Bling, famous simply for being famous. In the mid-2000s, she burst onto the social scene as the young, glamorous wife of aging, allegedly wealthy businessman Mandla Mthembu. Their relationship was public, extravagant, and defined by conspicuous consumption. They were notorious for their matching yellow Lamborghinis and a lifestyle that honestly screamed new money. The scandal wasn't a single event, but the entire foundation of her fame. Kanye Mbao openly and proudly detailed her life as a sugar baby, a term that was not as mainstream then as it is now. She spoke candidly about choosing a wealthy older man to fund her lavish lifestyle. While some saw it as a form of empowerment or honesty, many others saw it as a corrupting influence on young women, glorifying a transactional and materialistic approach to relationships. She wasn't just living this life, she was marketing it. The relationship with Mthembu imploded in a spectacular public fashion. The money, it turned out, was not as endless as it seemed. Mthembu's financial empire crumbled, and the couple's fairy tale lifestyle turned into a nightmare of debt and repossession. The matching Lamborghinis were taken away, and the headlines went from celebrating their wealth to documenting their financial ruin. Kanye was left to fend for herself, having built her entire identity around a man who was now broke. This is where the corruption aspect becomes more than just a moral debate. In the years that followed, Kanyim Bao became entangled in various financial dramas and questionable business dealings. She was often linked to men of dubious wealth, and her lifestyle continued to raise eyebrows. She was accused of running up bills and leaving others to pay, and her name was often mentioned in the same breath as controversial, politically connected figures. The line between her personal life and her financial dealings was perpetually blurred. While she has since reinvented herself as a successful actress, author, and media personality, her origin story remains a powerful and controversial chapter in South African pop culture. She represents a form of social corruption, the glorification of materialism at any cost. Her early fame was built on a transactional model that many found deeply problematic, and it set a precedent for a certain type of celebrity culture in South Africa. Kanyim Bao's saga is a complex story about ambition, money, and the moral compromises one might make in the dazzling, dizzying pursuit of the high life. Alright, so, our number 3 spot goes to a man who is, honestly, the very definition of a tenderpreneur. A celebrity not for his talent but for his proximity to state contracts and, well, the flashy lifestyle that came with it. Edwin Sodi. For quite a long time, he was known mainly on the elite social scene. A mysterious businessman with an ever-present entourage, a fleet of luxury cars, and a real penchant for throwing extravagant parties. He was a regular in the society pages, often photographed alongside models and media personalities, but, very few people actually knew where his immense wealth came from. The truth, though, came out in the most horrifying way possible, through a scandal that involved human suffering and, honestly, colossal government failure. Sodi was a central figure in the Free State asbestos audit scandal. His company, Blackhead Consulting, was awarded a 255 million rand tender, in a joint venture, to assess and remove dangerous asbestos roofing from homes in the Free State. This was a critical public health project, meant to protect some of the province's most vulnerable citizens from a material known to cause deadly diseases, but the work was, allegedly, never done properly. The Zondo Commission into State Capture heard harrowing testimony about how the project was basically a complete sham. It was alleged that little to no asbestos was ever safely removed. Instead, the 255 million rand was, allegedly, looted and distributed among a network of corrupt officials and connected individuals. And where did a significant portion of that money go? Straight into Edwin Sodi's pockets, funding a lifestyle of, honestly, obscene luxury. The money meant to save lives was, allegedly, used to buy Ferraris, Porsches, and Bentleys. The evidence presented was staggering. Bank statements showed millions flowing from Sodi's accounts to a host of high-profile political figures and allegedly to numerous girlfriends, including some well-known media personalities. The scandal exposed a rotten ecosystem where government tenders are handed to unqualified but politically connected individuals who then use the public's money to live like royalty. Sodi's socialite status was revealed to be funded by the suffering of the poor. His celebrity at the end of the day was built on a foundation of corruption. The state has since moved to seize his assets, and he is facing a whole raft of charges, including fraud, corruption, and money laundering, alongside former Free State Premier Ace Magashule and others. Edwin Sodi's story is, honestly, one of the darkest on our list. It's not just about financial misconduct, it's about a direct line from a corrupt tender to the potential deaths of innocent people. He is the ultimate symbol of a system where the politically connected feast, while the public starves, a socialite whose sparkle was paid for with stolen money and broken trust. At number 2, we've got one of South Africa's most energetic and, I have to say, controversial entrepreneurs, DJ Sbu. Spusizo Leope rose from being a popular DJ on YFM and Metro FM to becoming a media personality and a passionate advocate for entrepreneurship. He was known for his hustle, his drive, and his, relentless promotion of his own brands. He positioned himself as a champion of the township economy, a motivational figure urging young South Africans to build their own success stories. His catchphrase, Van de Gris, became a rallying cry for go-getters everywhere. But, and here's the thing, his relentless hustle often crossed the line into questionable and outright deceptive territory. The first major scandal was the infamous fake Forbes cover. In 2015, an image of DJ Sbu on the cover of Forbes Africa, holding a can of his energy drink, Mofaya, went viral. It was presented as a major achievement, a sign that his brand had been recognized by the most prestigious business magazine in the world. His fans celebrated this massive win for black entrepreneurship. There was just one problem: it was completely fake. Forbes Africa quickly issued a statement disavowing the cover, saying that it was a fabrication. The fallout was immense. SBU was accused of blatant deception to promote his product. He tried to spin it, claiming it was a dream or a mock-up, but the damage was done. He had lied to his followers and violated the intellectual property of a major international brand. It was a desperate marketing ploy that, honestly, backfired spectacularly, severely damaging his credibility as an honest hustler. And this wasn't his only brush with controversy. His marketing tactics for Mofaya were consistently aggressive and often landed him in hot water. He was accused of ambushing live TV interviews to promote his drink, which eventually led to his suspension from Metro FM. He faced criticism for making unsubstantiated health claims about his products and for a business ethos that seemed to prioritize promotion over substance. His brand of entrepreneurship started to look less like inspiration and more like, well, a series of desperate gimmicks. DJ Sboo's story is a complex one. On one hand, he really does embody a powerful spirit of self-reliance. On the other, his career is littered with examples of ethical shortcuts and a fake-it-till-you-make-it mentality taken to a corrupt extreme. The Forbes scandal, in particular, was a moment of pure deception, a deliberate attempt to mislead the public for commercial gain. It was a corruption of trust between a role model and the very people he claimed to be inspiring. It serves as a cautionary tale that in the world of business, hustle can never be a substitute for integrity. And at the number one spot on our list is a man whose fall from grace was so profound, so shocking, it honestly shook the very foundations of South Africa's justice system: Jackie Salebi. He wasn't a celebrity in the traditional sense, but as the National Police Commissioner of South Africa and the President of Interpol, he was a global figure of immense power and public profile. He was, quite literally, the world's top cop. He was supposed to be the man leading the fight against organized crime and corruption. The scandal that brought him down was, honestly, the stuff of a crime thriller. Salebi was accused of having a corrupt relationship with a convicted drug trafficker, Glenn Agliotti. And this wasn't just a casual acquaintance. Agliotti, a key figure in the criminal underworld, claimed he had the country's police chief in his pocket. He alleged that he paid Salebi hundreds of thousands of rands in bribes, took him on shopping sprees, and in return, Salebi protected him from investigation and provided him with sensitive police information. The allegations were explosive. The head of the South African Police Service, the man in charge of upholding the law, was accused of being on the payroll of a major criminal. The trial was one of the most high-profile in the country's history. It was a battle for the soul of the justice system. The state's case, led by the Scorpions, painted a picture of a police commissioner who was compromised, corrupt, and deeply entangled with the very people he was supposed to be putting behind bars. Salebi famously referred to Agliotti as my friend, Finnish and Clar, a statement that would honestly come to haunt him. The evidence was overwhelming. Witness testimony, financial records, and phone calls all pointed to a deeply inappropriate and corrupt relationship. In 2010, Jackie Salebi was found guilty of corruption and sentenced to 15 years in prison. The verdict was a bombshell. The top cop was now a top convict. The president of Interpol, the international police organization, was a convicted criminal. It was a moment of national shame, but also a moment of profound, albeit painful, accountability. Jackie Salebi's story is the ultimate tale of corruption in South Africa. It represents the highest level of betrayal, when the guardian of the law becomes its greatest violator. He was released from prison on medical parole in 2012 and passed away in 2015. But his legacy remains a dark stain on the country's history. His case serves as the most powerful and tragic example of how absolute power can corrupt absolutely, turning a hero of the struggle against apartheid into a symbol of the very decay he was supposed to fight. And there you have it, a journey through the dark side of fame and power in South Africa. From lottery millions funding luxury lifestyles to the nation's top cop being in the pocket of a drug lord, these stories are honestly more than just shocking. They're a reflection of a deeper issue within our society, where the lines between right and wrong can become blurred by the blinding glare of the spotlight. These celebrities, politicians, and power players were people we admired, people we put on a pedestal. Their betrayal feels personal because, in many ways, it is. It's a betrayal of public trust and a theft from the very people who made them famous. the consequences of these actions ripple outwards, eroding faith in our institutions and creating a culture of cynicism. When we see our heroes fall, it's easy to lose hope. But it's also crucial to remember the investigators, the journalists, and the whistleblowers who work tirelessly to bring these stories to light. Their courage is a reminder that accountability is possible, that no one is above the law, no matter how famous or powerful they may seem. These scandals, as painful as they are, force a necessary conversation about ethics, integrity, and the kind of society we want to be. As we've seen, the truth always has a way of coming out, even if it takes years to surface. The stories don't end when the headlines fade. The legal battles continue, and the impact on our country is long-lasting. So, keep asking questions, keep demanding transparency, and never let the glamour blind you to what's happening behind the curtain. Remember, fame doesn't always mean innocence. Stay tuned for more exposés and let us know in the comments who shocked you the most.